Okay, now it's the dollar versus the Swiss franc, which is almost a mirror image of the euro versus the dollar, but not quite. The real mirror image to the euro versus the dollar would be the Danish kroner versus the dollar. Or, no, actually the dollar versus the Danish kroner, so it'd be USD slash DKK. But this is a daily chart on close, according to this broker. Every broker is going to be different. But just to be the most simple, I want to just go through the key prices, and then just you have to leave it up to your own trading style to decide if that's an entry or an exit. Or I hear this talk about pivot points and all these price levels, and people will give a whole list of price levels, and I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do with that price? Is that where I get in? Is that where I get out? Is that where I put my stop? Is that and really there's never a discussion of position sizing, because that's kind of up to your risk level, but I think you'd have to say the position size is pretty key. You know, if I sold here 10K, I've got, say I got $10,000 in my account, I sell at 8K here, and instead of selling at 10K right here, I sell at 8K, but just in case I'm wrong, I put a sell at 2K here. I'll sell at 2K up here, because what if it goes higher and tags that? Well, maybe it did go higher, and I guess I'd like to put all my orders in on the line chart, and then come back to verify with the candles to see, okay, it would have never filled this other order. That was the top. That was, you have no idea on a line chart what the range of that is. But what you do have, which is far better than well, not better, but a whole different view than a candle, is you have a moment in time. And that is time stamped every day. Bam, 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 bam. So literally like a linear view of price. Whereas when you put this candle on here, you're going to see spikes, and you're going to see wicks on these candles that are so large that you may not be able to withstand. If you don't have any stops, if you're not trading with stops, it's not a problem, because you can handle a giant spike. I'm going to change the time frame on here to it'll invoke the 100 pip handles that I got from the Forex Cafe, or Cafe Forex, I can't remember. So here I'll just change the time frame. So dollar Swiss is not that volatile a currency pair, so it's kind of like trading corn. If you've ever traded corn, it's like really unvolatile, but a lot of participants, it's certainly a lot of people trading this just because it's not moving. Seems like the U.S. and the Swiss are on the same page apparently, as opposed to the euro yen. But so if I just keep stripping this on and off and just use this as my right left brain, this might be the right brain, this is left brain, this will be your just the hard edge facts of what people say. If the market closes above this, then I'm bullish, and I'm thinking, wow, I hope I'm already in that trade. I hope I'm thinking about getting out. Like if you're saying it's closing up, I'm thinking, where do we sell? But I'm a contrarian, so that, I'm stuck with that way of viewing things. So I don't believe half the stuff I hear, half the stuff I see. So yeah, I'm selling up in here, certainly in the world of scalping, and just pick out all the key pivots You could probably use a calculator, but I'm a visual person, so for me, I don't want to see no numbers. I don't want to read nothing. I just want to hear really good music and, just find the patience to wait for the market to come up into this controversial area so I can get a bunch of crazy scalps going and at least bank enough money to maybe sit on a small position and ride out the engulfment of something or the complete change of trend. Um, it's just a real, when you feel like you can see a pattern unfolding, you're like, God, can we just get there? I mean, we know we're going there, so could we just get there already? Um, you see a divergence. Here is a crazy sell-off that was definitely worth getting into early, and that was a highly unsustainable velocity to the downside, I would think. I put that on the list of, wow. I mean, if you started, the day you opened your first Forex account, you bought here because you thought, that's a nice bottom. Hell, I can even draw a trend line on that. So you went long 100K because you didn't understand leverage, and then it came up and formed that perfect bottom top, but you just were envisioning, this thing's going to grow to the sky like it's going to break the rules of all trees, and it's just going to get, and you could have been right. It could have held that, but for some reason it didn't. I'm sure there's a reason. It exists back in time. Well, it was going into some serious uncharted water. I guess it just wasn't up for the trip. I got a little spooked, so it ran back into this top here. Did this become a good place to buy? Well, for the scalpers, it was a good place to buy because they were able to capture that great just for that day, though. And it even had a confluence. That was a great entry. That was a perfect entry. That was the perfect entry with all your criteria lining up. I'm sure even people that were running moving averages, the people that said RSI is below 50% on the 5 period, it's a great time to get in. Well, let's take this trade. Let's bet the range, but just in case, let's put a stop here. Of course, if you would have had that stop turn into if your strategy was flexible enough to convert into pure stops here. In other words, you stack stops up in here just like all the retail people, with the exception of the fact that you're not trying to get out of a trade, you're trying to get in. Now that's something I haven't been able to do yet because I'm not a trend trader. But for any of you that like to trade stop entry, I would say write a script that lays in stops here that lasts for, well, I guess for a month, and just baby orders, just like a tenth of a K, $100 orders. So they're all stacked up in here, and then lo and behold, one day, things don't work out here. You get a little burned because you had to pick up a few and it retraced, but you're only picking up maybe $500 position. I mean, I know these are really tiny numbers for people that like to trade. They would look at that as $1 million entry, and they would basically make enough money here they can work the rest of their. You could actually take 6 months off. This trade right here, forget it, you're done. And of course, not like that couldn't happen with all this wonderful RSI divergence here that's finally working. RSI is finally working. God, the tool's finally working, and I've already blown up 3 accounts. But this is the problem is the breadth of the market, the pace of the market is not the pace of your foreseeing the market. So the forecasting stuff can really destroy your ability to live in the current what's happening now, and maybe it's only scalping trades available now, up and down noise between predictable, um, major supports that live on a daily chart. And if you're impatient, you're screwed, because you're not going to wait for this perfect bottom top. I guess this would be the role reversal point here, where it's totally flat, and then for all the trend line traders, I want to be buying actually down here below. Well, I guess almost say below reality, because the market is so stretched out there that really how much, I guess I'm always asking myself when I see these moves, how much further can they possibly push this price? Nobody wants it? And watching the dollar Swiss fall apart a few years ago into no man's land was just staggering. And this could go there too. The dollar's supposed to be going to hell. So they say all day long. Oh, the dollar, I love that phrase, the reserve currency. For God's sakes, they could be trading anything. It doesn't, who cares? I mean, as long as you got a place to sleep and you got food, like really you care about like the reserve currency? What? Oh yeah, so it's going to become like the lira, where it's like don't think so. But I mean, it's like dollar Swiss. Look at this. I mean, if the dollar against the Swiss was all over the map, yeah, you kind of be worried then. But this is like the dollar against the Canadian dollar. It's in a 1,000 pip range for 5 years. It's just boring. It's like corn. Trade corn. You'll see. It's like wow. But soybean oil is a whole different story, because you're in a spread that's like euro to the yen. There's such a distance there in processing it that it's not as liquid as dollar Swiss. I mean, think of all the Swiss bank accounts, right? I mean, it's all rigged, right? So yeah, I like that guy's rig thing. Jason put a blog up there, and I said that's so funny. That guy's video is great. But yeah, I'm just using the 100 pip handles, because I just totally want to see always where I'm at, price wise, what I can afford to risk, as opposed to what I wish I could just trade without stops and do all that. Of course, this is the daily chart. This isn't like you're going to miss out on a trade. At this point, even without a trend line, just in the most stupid trading style, which is it doesn't get any better than that. I put a buy order there and a small order, and just see what happens. And then, of course, if the market should come down here, you're going to get filled. Same thing on the upside. I'd be selling up there. Maybe not there, because I think a lot of people are selling there. But I guess I'm thinking way past, I want to sell here probably. Sell more there, but sell a little bit here. So I'll kind of scale into that. And then I would say, okay, how can I justify this trade? I think we're going to come up into that. And then if I wanted to jump on the long train, thinking, oh, well, maybe there's going to be a pullback within the next channel, there's a possible entry. Of course, you really, unfortunately, trading, you're either going to have to wait for this thing to come all the way back to this point here, and get into something that's swinging up. Well, you want to make 100 pips. It's really trying to make 100 pips.